Do you know, in Australia, they have a little black snake. It's only that long, it lives in the grass, and it's the most venomous reptile on God's earth. If it bites you on the ankle, you are dead in 8 seconds. And when I'd been there for 3 weeks, I went looking for one. Because strange things happen in Australia, don't they? There was a woman lived on her own in Sydney. 35 years, never missed the Australian football pools, never won a penny. Then one week there was only 8 draws and she became a millionairess overnight. Would you like that, girls? Millionairess overnight. The next morning she got out of bed, the streets were outside her house, the police barriers, television cameras, reporters, people ringing the bell, bing bong. Well, she opened the door, she says, "What the bloody hell's going on here? Get off the grass, bugger off." And there's the cameraman and the he says, "Good day, good day. We are the Australian TV network. I understand you've won $1 million on the Australian pools. Is that right?" She said, "That's right. I've been doing them for 35 years, never won bugger all, but I'm rich now, so off the grass." He said, "Well, the great Australian public would like to know what you're going to do with the money." She says, "Well, I've lived on my own a great many years. I'm a bit of a spinster, really, darling. But now I'm rich, you watch me go, boy. I'm going to get me a man. I don't just want any man. I don't want any of Joan Collins' cast-offs. What I'd like is a male virgin. What I'd like is a toy boy who's never been with another woman." So they organised a search of Australia. They searched the whole of Australia for 3 months looking for a male virgin for this woman. Could they find one? Could they 4X? In desperation, they sent a team from the Australian SAS into the desert. 3 days later, they found this young guy living in a cave near Ayers Rock. He'd been there for years. He was half Aborigine, male virgin, brought up by the wolves. That's near Birmingham. And he was suntan with living in the outdoors. He had long blonde hair, little loincloth around his centre. And they got him in a jeep and brought him all the way back to this woman's house and rang the bell. Bing bong. And when the door opened, she says, "What the hell? Who the bloody hell's he?" She says, "Good day, good day. Here he is, madam. We found him for you, the only male virgin left in Australia." She took one look at this virile youth with the suntan, the six-pack, and a lump in his loincloth. She says, "My prayers have been answered." She says, "Take him round the back. The neighbours are watching." Well, they got him in a bathtub, scrubbed him down, trimmed his hair, found him a suit, into a taxi, downtown. 1:30 they had a society wedding. The Co-op did it. They spent the early evening in a cordon bleu restaurant having a 15-course banquet, and then they went to the Sydney Hilton Hotel for their honeymoon night. And there they were at midnight in the bridal suite of the Sydney Hilton. Do not disturb on the door handle, champagne on ice, black pudding, pork scratching. And she sitting at the dressing table mirror getting ready for bed. The young Aborigine came out the bathroom with no clothes on. And he pushed her off the buffet, took the buffet and ran over to that corner with it, got the dressing table, put it over there, stood the bed up in this corner and started rolling the carpet up. She couldn't believe it. She says, "What the bloody hell are you doing with all the furniture?" He says, "Well, I ain't never been with a woman before, but if it's anything like a kangaroo, we're gonna need all the room we can get."
Stanley. He went to America. He started his own ranch off in America. He were growing crops and keeping cattle. And he decided to call his ranch the ABC XYZ PHY ABC Ranch. All the crops have done well, but none of the cattle have survived the branding.
Little lad said to his mother, "How do buffaloes make love?" She said, "I don't know, your dad's a mason." Little lad said to his mother, "Can prostitutes have babies?" She said, "Of course they can. Where do you think you get traffic wardens from?" That's wonderful questions, kid. Little girl said to this little boy, "What's that wrinkly thing your granddad keeps taking out?" He said, "Me grandma." Marvellous things, kid. Little kid was walking on the street with his dad and there was 2 dogs making love in the street. Well, they do, don't they, dogs? It's accepted. They do it anywhere. And with anything. Table legs. Tree trunks. I was coming out the paper shop last Wednesday morning when one of them Rottweilers pinned me by my shoulders to the wall and started making love to me leg. I said, get down, you dirty sod. And it went, argh. I said, well, hurry up then. Breath was rotten. I thought, I hope it didn't want to kiss.
Ladies and gentlemen, I shouldn't really be here at all tonight. It's been a very bad week for me this week. I've just lost a wife, and what a game of cards that was. But,
lovely woman, but she's a bit on the daft side. She's no sense of humour. I'm sure she needs that HRT, that hip replacement therapy, because hers don't move. I was making love to her. She said, I'm seeing another man. I said, well, rub your eyes.
My wife's going through this mental pause at the moment. It's like the human equivalent of mad cow disease. Crazy idea. She said the other day, I'm going to shave my... I said, well, I'm going to shave everything. I said, well, go on, do what you... And she shaved everything. And it's knackered the strimmer.
what's the difference between PMT and BSE? Nothing really. Why does it take a woman with PMT 20 minutes to boil an egg? Because it does, that's why!
I was in Spain. I saw this beautiful girl. I said, if you sleep with me tonight, I'll give you £200. She's all fantastic. The next day, I said, if you sleep with me tonight, I'll give you £200. She's all fantastic. The next night, I said, if you sleep with me tonight, I'll give you £200. She's all fantastic. The fourth night, she says, are you sleeping with me again tonight? I said, no, I'm going back to Rotherham in Yorkshire, England. She says, well, that's strange. I've got a sister who lives in Rotherham in Yorkshire in England. I says, I know you have. She'd give me £600 to give you.
Prostitute said to an Irishman, would you like to sleep with me for £20? He said, I'm not tired, but I could do with the money.
Speaking to a woman the other day. She's a friend of mine. I said, is there any insanity in your family? She said, yeah, the husband thinks he's the boss. She called the other day. I said, I'm sorry, the wife's out. Would you like to leave a rumour?
Tell you another thing I've got a pet hate with. My neighbour. Anyone here got a bad neighbour? I hate my neighbour. He's got one of them faces. You know, once you started punching, you never stop. And he knocked the other night and he said, Gary, have you got a stepladder? I said, yes, our real ladder left us when we were 6. But, have you got the satellite television? But you're getting messages from somewhere. Every house in our street's got Sky TV except ours, so I've nailed the walk-up on the gable end. The trouble is, when you slam the door, you get a head full of bean sprouts. You know the satellite dish? What's the little box behind it called? Is that a council house? They've got some great programmes on the Sky Leisure Channel. Jane Fonda doing aerobics in Rochdale. OK, girls, hands on thighs. Because they talk funny in Rochdale, don't they? You know what else they talk dead good? Have you ever met anybody from Blackburn, Burnley or Bacup? They ask you a question, and then they answer it, and then they ask it you again. They do. They say things like, are you going out tonight? Are you not? Are you? Is the car on the car park? Is it not? Is it? And they go into the shop and they say, can I have some turps? And they say, do you want cassette turps or video turps? What about the adverts? Pick the best. Pick Everest double glazing. They come round our house the other day. They said, it's Everest double glazing. I said, we've already got it, pal. He said, that's what I've come for. He said, you've not made a payment for 2 years. And I said, you said it'd pay for itself.
I tell you what, the place now, I said from Doncaster, we're like full of these like new age travellers, these scruffy pigs. One up from a tramp, aren't they? On the ladder to success, these people, aren't they? And they're usually accompanied by a skinny dog. And they'll have this placard, it's like, homeless and hungry, please give generously. And I must have been in a right stroppy mood because I'm going to this cake shop, don't know why. And this scruffy, he's got his hand out like that. He says, "Excuse me, mister, have you got 20 pence for a cup of tea?" I said, "You can I said, "Smarten yourself up, get a job, get some self-esteem, you scruffy pig." He said, "I would, but I've got amnesia." Oh, Christ, I felt really bad. I said, "Oh, remind me on the way out." Yeah, it was brilliant, honestly. Last week I was working to a live audience, I really was. And I got the greatest accolade a comedian could ever have. This fella in the audience actually wet himself. And it's the first time I worked in an old folks' home. I'll do it again. And talking of these beggars on street corners, there was like a beggar sat outside my local pub last week, begging. He got a little hat for money, but he was singing a song, a lovely song. He was singing like, "When I was young, it didn't seem that life was so logical." I said, "That's Supertramp." He said, "Oh, thanks a lot."
You've got to get out and enjoy yourself, folks, haven't you? It's nice to get down the pub, go and have a drink with your mates, see your pals. Faith Healer walks in a pub. Fella sat near the door there, dark glasses, white stick and a Labrador. He said, "Excuse me, sir, are you blind?" He said, "How am I? Been blind since I was born." And the Faith Healer took his specs off and touched his eyes like that. He said, "I can see. You've cured me. It's a miracle. I can see. It's a miracle." Sitting next to him was a guy with 2 deaf aids in and an amplifier strapped to his belt. He said, "Are you deaf?" He said, "I beg your pardon." He said, "Are you deaf?" He said, "Yes, I've been deaf since I was born." And he pulled the deaf aids out and touched his ears. He said, "How are you now?" He said, "I can hear you. It's a miracle. You've cured me. I can hear you." Sat next to him was one of the local ragamuffins. He says, "Don't touch me, you bugger. I'm on the invalidity."
I can't understand it these days. I mean, what do the kids get for Christmas? Nintendos. Do you know what Nintendo is? 185 bloody quid, that's what it is. They get mountain bikes now. We can't understand it in Manchester. What good is a mountain bike to a child in Moss Side? No good whatsoever, but that's where they all seem to end up. Because we never got that, did we? Nah, we were poor. My mum used to sit up all Christmas Eve stitching a turkey's head on a kipper. I remember coming downstairs one Christmas morning, there was one parcel under the tree with my name on it. And I opened it up and it was an empty box. I said to my dad, "What's this, Dad?" He said, "It's an Action Man deserter, son." Well, it's semi-job.
And talking of shopping, I must be one of those like new age men, me, because I quite enjoy shopping. You know, I know where to go for all the bargains. You know, the market late on, Netto, Aldi, low cost. But my favourite place, and back me up on this, girls, I think it's a quality shop. A little place called Quick Save. Marvellous, isn't it? I mean, let's face it, £1 for a trolley. Brilliant value for money, isn't it? All that metal, 4 wheels. I've got 40 in my backyard, I can't resist them, me. Saves me a fortune at Christmas. BMX bike, 150 quid. 150 quid. Trolley, £1. Spray it gold, you've got a chariot for the kids, haven't you? And you've lost them, you can still do the pound, you've lost nothing, have you?
Fella there, he's in Wigan. Says to his mate, he said, "Hiya, Billy." He said, "This fella's trying to find a way." He said, "Where's he want?" He said, "Is there a B&Q in Wigan?" He said, "Hold on." He said, "There's a W." He said, "No."
Spoke to this fella 4 weeks ago, and he's work. I said, "Well, what do you do?" He said, "I'm a puppeteer." I said, "Did you just walk straight into the job?" No, he said, "I had to pull a few strings." And I have a friend. I do have a. It's just he's the one that I have, and we're talking as he's gone. We're talking thick bacon. We're talking Danish. He's not even written on it. Not even. He is thick. So he went for a job as an accountant, and the fellow that interviewed him said, "Well, it's I've come for the chief accountant's job." He said, "It is £53,700 a year." He said, "Well, how much is that a week?"
I like the challenge of a drunk. You can imagine him, he's making his way home at night like this. And he said, so he passed the pie shop and he staggers into the pub. He said, good evening. He thought he'd just gone. He said, he said, I think you've had too much to drink, or get yourself off home. So he goes out, past the pie shop, past the undertaker's, and he comes back in the pub again. Good evening. He said again, and have a little anything. He said, now, would you please go home? So this happened 6 times past the pie shop, the undertaker's, bookmakers, back in. The landlord said, I've had enough of this now. Just get out of here and get off home. The drunk said, do you own every pub in this town? Drunk logic. One drunk sits next to another because the landlord's refused him a drink. He says, I'll come and serving you and they won't serve me. He said, because you don't know how to ask for him. He said, what you have to do is walk up to the bar like that and go, could I have a double whiskey? And he'll think that you're sober and you can carry on drinking. He says, I'll try it. Goes up to the bar and says, could I have a double whiskey? The barman said, pardon? He said, forget it.
Rotherham United, that's my team. Rotherham United. And it's not true that we've just found Shergar grazing in the goalmouth. My granddad, God bless him, he used to be a season ticket holder at Rotherham United. About 3 or 4 months back, I was so proud. I was sat in the director's box watching the football match. And I thought, if my granddad could see me now. And the chairman was sat outside of me and he says, are you enjoying the match, Barry? I said, I am, sir. He says, are you staying till the end? I said, I am, sir. He said, well, here's the keys, lock up.
Yorkshire lad goes to the vet. He said, I'd like to get me cat neutered. The vet said, is it a Tom? He said, no, it's here in this cardboard box. 2 Yorkshire lads in Tenerife. Have you been to Tenerife? Tish poo, tish poo. I went to Tenerife, January, with my young lady, Lily Savage over here. I'm lying by the pool at the hotel doing a bit of modest sunbaking. And she come across, she said, do you like me flip-flops? I said, put your bra back on, you're showing us up. There's 2 Yorkshire lads in Tenerife doing a bit of fishing, and one said to his mate, hast the caught art happen? He said, aye. He said, I've caught a whale. He said, would a white whale or a sperm whale? He said, no, it were Robert Maxwell. Robert Maxwell, the pensioner's friend, Tish Poo. When they found it, it was circling around 5 sharks. Because not a lot of people know how Robert Maxwell actually met his demise. Because some people reckon Mossad, the Israeli intelligence service, actually assassinated him. Other people put it down to sheer accident. Many, many others think that because of the massive debts accrued by Mirror Group newspapers, he committed suicide. Load of rubbish. He was on the yacht that fateful evening, and Robert Maxwell's son, Kevin, phoned him up on the yacht. He said, Dad, I've just bought Manchester City Football Club. Dad?
This is a Group 4 prison officer. Where the bloody hell's he gone? This is a pig with a hair lip. I'm not doing your driving licence. And this is a fella with a plastic hip standing too near a radiator.
And do you know what the other thing was? Everybody brags when they go away. We met some right over the town. I'm from America. I got a chain of hotels that run across the states. I thought, I've heard all this before. This lad said, oh, yeah, well, I'm from Australia, mate. I got a sheep station, reaches as far as your eye can see. This said, oh, yeah, right, well, I'm from Bolton, and I just happen to have the biggest one in the world. They won't believe that. They won't believe it. And after a few days, they calmed down. He said, I want to apologise for shooting off my big mouth. I've not really got a big chain of hotels. In fact, it's just a 12-bedroom guest house in Orlando. But you do get a free flak jacket. He said, right, mate, you're being fair with me, then I'll be fair with you. I've not really got a big sheep station, just a small holding near Perth. This lad says, right, now you're being honest with me, I can be honest with you. I'm not from Bolton, I'm from Bury.
I read that book last week, The Secret Diaries of Salman Rushdie. I don't think it's very good. It says Monday stayed in. Tuesday had a look through the window. I came out of a pantomime and a little boy crying on the causeway edge. I felt so sorry for him. I says, what are you crying for? He said, I'm not talking to anybody, I'm fed up, mate. I said, well, you can talk to me. I was Simple Simon on this pantomime. I threw you a Mars bar. He said, yeah, it hit me straight into sodding eye and all that. I said, well, I apologise for that, but surely I want to know why you're crying. I can't just leave you here crying. He said, OK, I'll tell you. Wish you'd mind your own business. He says, my dad's coming home tomorrow. He's been away for 3 years and my mum's having a baby. I said, well, what you were crying for? He says, I get blamed for everything in our house, mate.
Prince Charles was at quite a big swish dinner at the Dorchester Hotel in London in aid of the Prince's Trust. And he was seen to be visibly agitated upon the top table. Now, the Master of Ceremonies, he noticed this, and he went across and he said to Prince Charles, excuse me, sir, is there a problem? And Prince Charles said, yes. I appear to have left my speech back at the palace. And the Master of Ceremonies said, well, fax it up. He said, well, it does rather, doesn't it?
Has anybody ever bumped into our German friends when you've been on your holiday? Has anybody ever had any incidents with our German friends when you've been on your holiday? I never thought there was a race of people as arrogant until I was flying home very early one morning from Palma, Mallorca. And the flight announcers went, bing bong. Manchester. I thought, well, at least I know where I'm going, even if I don't know how to get there. Standing next to me in the departure lounge is the biggest, fattest German you've ever seen in your life. Born when lard was cheap. And he came across and started prodding me like that. Englander! Englander! I don't know how he knew I was English. He was prodding my Union Jack T-shirt like that. Englander! How come you British are flying home before we Germans? I said, because we were up at 6 o'clock, pal, putting towels on the bloody runway.
Liz Taylor, if she got married again, it'd be the 8th time. Isn't that awful? 8 times married. I mean, could any man in this audience imagine if you was married to Liz Taylor for the 8th time? If you got up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go and have a wee, you'd have to wake her up and say, Liz, will you mind me place?